Hey babes, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kimberly, also known as Mbali. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are a returning subscriber, if you are one of the girls that have been waiting for this video and requesting it, thank you so much for joining. So in today's video, as I'm sure you guys can tell, I am going to be doing an updated foundation or makeup routine with some tips and tricks. I'm going to take you guys through the steps and share kind of some tips and tricks on how I'm doing my makeup right now. Also, really exciting, this is actually my very first time doing a tutorial using the Makeup by Mario foundation, which is perfection. And when I tell you that this foundation is not leaving my routine, I mean it. It literally works well with absolutely everything in my routine. Just stay tuned and you'll see. So without any further ado, if you'd like to see how I achieve this face over here, make sure that you stay tuned until the very end. Let's get into this video. Alright, first things first, I'm going in with my MAC Fix Plus spray before I start off with my brows. I really love doing brows before foundation because I find that my makeup looks cleaner and more put together when I do my brows first. So I'm using my ABH pencil over here, and if you guys didn't notice, all products will be listed on screen as I make use of them. Prior to using the ABH pencil, I did use some Got2b glue gel just to lay my brow hairs flat, and now I'm highlighting, or at least carving out my brows with my highlighting concealer shade, and at the top I'm going to be using a foundation shade to clean it up. I'll finish off my brows towards the end once I'm done with my complexion, but for now I'm getting started with my complexion, and I'm using my sorbet primer. Once I'm done applying primer, I like going in with a setting spray, and I'm using the MAC Fix Plus spray. This next step is probably the most important step in ensuring that I have a flawless base. Nothing worse than having a full coverage or a full face of makeup on and having your dark spots peek through. So to correct all my uneven skin tone, my hyperpigmentation, I'm going in with an orange corrector. I'm using the one from LA Girl, but it's a little too rich for my skin tone, so I've toned it down with some concealer. And as you can see, I'm just getting rid of my uneven skin tone. You want to make sure that this is blended thoroughly. If you can set it with a powder, if you are a dry skin girl, you can definitely do that. Just make sure that it is in place prior to going in with your foundation. For foundation today, I am using the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation, and I am so obsessed. I have the shade 20N, but I think the way the foundation is, the technology of the foundation, it allows you to actually have multiple shades in the range because it kind of adapts to your skin. So I'm really happy with my shade match though. If you haven't seen my first impressions, you can check it out on Instagram as well as TikTok. I'm blending out my foundation using stippling motions. I'm not a fan of swiping or swirling or anything like that. I absolutely love stippling the foundation into my skin just to ensure that I have the best possible coverage, and I'm using a Morphe brush to achieve this. I'm going ahead to highlight with the Huda Beauty Full Filter Concealer in the shade Pecan. It reminds me of the Too Faced shade concealer in Butterscotch. Absolutely love it, and I was hooked to that, and this is really good. Not as good as Too Faced though. Hopefully I can get my hands on it again soon. I'm just highlighting the way we all know how to highlight. I like keeping a very light hand, but I'm definitely going to be blending it out after, just in case I have a little too much product. I prefer having the product on the back of my hand and not going in directly with my applicator. I was just really lazy. I think one of the biggest tricks that I can give you guys when it comes to flawless makeup and having the best possible makeup, it's applying your products not directly onto your skin, but maybe at the back of your hand or maybe on a spatula before you go into your skin, because the less product you use, the less time it will take for you to blend, and the better it is, better chances at least for you to blend out seamlessly and flawlessly. Over the years, I've had a back and forth on the tool that I prefer to blend out with. If you're an OG, you know that I loved doing a full face with brushes, but I've gotten accustomed to sponges right now, and I absolutely love this sponge from Shein, and I'm just using that to blend out all of the edges, making sure that everything is blended seamlessly and smoothly. When it comes to blending my under eye concealer, or at least the under eye concealer in the corners of my eye, I don't blend it all the way back to the temples. I just leave it midway, because I find that I look more snatched if I leave it midway and everything comes together more seamlessly, as opposed to having a stark white highlighter right to the back. So I'm just doing a check and I'm quite happy. I'm using the residue product on my sponge from the highlighter, and I'm stamping it beneath my jawline just to reinforce or kind of reverse contour. But I am cream contouring as well, and I'm going in with the product at the back of my hand, and then I'm going in with my brush. My brush is like a stippling kind of brush, but it's a little more loose, if I can call it that. It's less dense than my foundation brush, so it's really easy to get like a nice airbrush flawless kind of blend. And again, I'm stamping it, and where required I will maybe swirl and go in circles if there's too much product, just to shear the product out. But for now, it's good enough for me to just stamp it like that, the way that I am right now, because I have the product in the back of my hand. I don't like going in the corners of my eye or towards my nose for my nose contour with this product. I prefer just doing a powder contour, which we'll do later. But for the rest of my face, I'm just going in to the brush in the back of my hand and going everywhere where I would like to contour. I absolutely love a bright under eye, so I'm using this Huda Beauty Overachiever Concealer. Love this concealer as well, and I'm going underneath my eye. Again, the product is in the back of my hand, and I just dip my brush into the product, and I am blending that underneath the eye. It makes the process so much easier, and the blend that you achieve is really, really flawless. I feel like I'm saying flawless blend every single time, but that's literally the point. That is the point. I just switched up some brushes because I thought, I don't know, I can't remember what I thought. I literally did this like 2 months ago. Be that as it may, I'm just blending out some of the product, and I just placed a little more concealer underneath my eye, and I'm blending it out, and I love that brightness. I'm stamping the concealer along my nose, and as you can see, without me contouring, there's kind of an invisible contour line over there, but I can see the line of demarcation, and I do not like that. If there's one thing that I hate, it's a line of demarcation. There is no reason for anyone to be walking around with lines of demarcation, and just a little extra time spent blending can get rid of that. I know you guys love seeing the blending process, so I'm just going to leave you to enjoy. So once all my products are on, my highlight is on, my contour is on, I'm going in with my foundation brush and I'm just blending the edges. Again, getting rid of lines of demarcation and ensuring that everything just looks really, really good. I'm going over my nose contour, like I was mentioning and referencing the line of demarcation over there. I'm just going to stipple my foundation brush over that line to get rid of it. And I know maybe it is a fear that you might lose the definition once you do that, but you really, really don't. You can kind of still see that contour towards my nose or on my nose. And if I want to reinforce it, I just use my highlighting brush. But everything looks flawless. Everything looks really good. So I'm ready to set right now, and I'm using my Huda Beauty Easy Bake powder. Love going in with this little powder puff. This is from Essence, but I'm sure they sell it everywhere. I stamp it into the powder and then at the back of my arm just to even out the powder so I don't get lumps and clumps of the powder. And then I just easily bake underneath my eye. No pun intended. So yeah, this is what the side by side looks like. I pick up a little bit of product and I just blend it until the product disappears, and that's my first layer. So I just set underneath my eyes and I blend. And then I go around my nose area as well and everywhere else where I highlighted. So I take a very, very light amount of powder and I just press it into the skin. And then if I want to bake maybe later, I can do that. I usually don't bake, but I really love just pressing in a little bit of powder into my highlighted areas. And that really makes my under eyes look really, really flawless. So before I go in with my contouring powder, I'm going to go in with my face powder, and that is the Fit Me Pressed Powder in the shade Caramel. I absolutely love this powder. I've had the first rendition and then they brought out this one and the formula changed. And the formula is actually better. I didn't think it was possible, but it actually is. So I'm just going to set all over my face before I go in with my contour powder. And for this, I'm using my Revlon New Complexion Powder in Cappuccino. I absolutely love the shade and how warm it is. I take some on a fluffy brush and I just twirl and swirl around to make sure that I'm getting an easy, flawless kind of airbrush blend. And now headed over to the eyes, I just want to show you guys what I love doing. So even if I'm not having eyeshadow at the top of my eye, this is what I absolutely love doing every single time I wear makeup, just to look a little sultry. I use a black eyeliner underneath my eye. Then I go in with a pencil brush and a black eyeshadow and I kind of set that eyeliner in place. And then after, I'm going to go in with a brown shade just to blow that out and to kind of smoke out the black and to soften it, and you get such a nice sultry look, which I do every single time I wear makeup. I absolutely love that. So whether I'm doing eyeshadow at the top or not, this is what I love doing at my bottom eye, and I feel like anyone can achieve that. Going in with blush right now, Yardley's Terracotta blush is a nice stunning orange blush, and I love this blush. Absolutely love using it right above where I have powder contoured. It gives like a nice gradient effect, and oh guys, really love this blush. And because I love a flush of pink underneath my eye, I go in with my Revlon PINKCOGNITO blush, which is a nice light and pink blush. And I'm just stamping it underneath the eye. I will go in with some powder later just to clean it up a bit so I don't lose the brightness underneath the eye. And if I want to tone down, you know, the blush, I just go in with the same brush that I used for my all over face powder. So I'm going in with my Huda Beauty powder again, and I'm using a small fluffy brush and I'm just airbrushing it over to blend it out with the pink blush that I have underneath my eye. And if I feel like I need to reinforce my nose contour, this is also an opportunity for me to do that. I also love doing this step after I have sprayed my finishing spray. Now we headed to the nose contour, and I'm using a small fluffy brush or blending brush, and I'm going into the powder, the Revlon powder, and I'm just doing the inner corners of my eye and the tip of my nose. I don't drag the powder all the way down because I feel like the cream contour, at least the way that we placed our highlighting shades as well as the powder, is sufficient to kind of accentuate that nose contour. I'm going in with highlighter, treading really lightly because I'm not a fan of highlighter. And then I'm finishing off the start of my brow by giving myself a few hair-like strokes with the ABH pencil that I used earlier. I like doing it after I've done my nose contour because I take the powder up into my brow. So as I was mentioning before, I love reinforcing, you know, my highlights and my snatchery, if you can call it that, with some powder after. And I'm using my She Glam powder. It has a little bit of a glow to it, so I use as less as possible. But I'm taking it in the inner corner of the eye just to give that brightness and that lift and that snatched kind of look in the corners of my eye. And then I'm going in with a mascara that I'm really obsessed with. And that bottom lash mascara combo with the sultry eyeshadow gets me every time. I absolutely love a glossy lip, and I think the best tip for glossy lips is applying your gloss on the edges of your lip. So get a bit of product on the applicator, at the edge of the applicator, apply that product to the edges of your lips and avoid swiping it in the center of the lip, and also avoid gloss in the corners of your lip because it can kind of bleed through onto your face and you want to avoid that. I'm going to brush out my curls and come back with a final look. Thank you babes so much for tuning in. I will see you in my next video.